Hello friends. So we're back with another video and we're talking about the book Unnecessary Chaos, and this is going to be chapter 4, and it is called The Learning System. And you'll be able to find the reference of this chapter on in the video The Vision at the timestamp of 7 minutes and 52 seconds. And before we get started, I want to discuss how this has already started. This portion of the vision was clearly seen when COVID began. What I saw in the vision, we'll go into detail on that. But the school system completely changed when COVID came about. Kids were homeschooled, and the curriculum was different, and just the way a child was learning, just the way children were learning became different. So I was able to clearly see this portion of the vision had already started unfolding at that point. So, all right, let's get into it. This is one of those things that we have to compassionately acknowledge and understand, that we can only do what we know until we know better. Although we have many dedicated and authentically caring teachers in the current school system, we have quite an archaic system of teaching through which they have to teach from. Fortunately, this is going to change completely. I was shown in the vision such a harmoniously flowing and conducive to the mind, body, and soul way of teaching that we are evolving into, that will greatly allow one to excel on all levels. It was a beautiful sight to see, and it was astonishing to see how its positive effects changed the course of young lives for the betterment of their own self and society. I suppose we should start at the point of contrast in order to understand where we are going. How would it make you feel if you were forced to fit your feet into a pair of shoes that were entirely too small, and then have to wear them every day, all week long, for 12 years? Do you think you would feel comfortable? Do you think you would feel that you were being given consideration for your actual foot size? Or that you were being acknowledged for the strain and disfiguration that it was causing you? Do you think you would feel a sense of rejection and shame because your feet weren't the same size as your classmates, and everyone knew it? Or maybe you were forced to wear shoes that were entirely too big. Do you think that would be any more comfortable than too small of a shoe? Do you think you would stumble and fall trying to walk in shoes that you could barely keep on your feet? Do you think you would feel small or less than in comparison to your classmates? Do you think you would feel a sense of rejection and shame as well? How do you think all of these physical, mental, and emotional experiences would affect you during those 12 years and afterwards? And let me remind you, more than likely you are probably an adult who is reading this book right now, or listening to it on YouTube. So thinking about how this scenario would affect you on all levels is being considered with an adult mind. A mind that has matured, a mind that knows how to cope with unfamiliar and uncomfortable situations much better than a young child would. A mind that knows what self-esteem is and how to honor yourself. You also have the capability of expressing your thoughts and emotions without being told, you are the student and I am the teacher. Therefore, you need to listen and do as you are told, or you will be punished or expelled. Let that whole scenario sink in for a moment or two, and then be honest with yourself when you answer this question. How would it make you feel? Perhaps you did experience that scenario as a child in school. Do you remember what that felt like? Do you remember how it affected your experience of school and your education? Now think about how it makes a child feel every time they are not acknowledged and valued and accepted for who they are as an individual, for how their mind works, for how their learning style is most productive, for what inspires them and encourages them to excel just as their own authentic self. What do you think that does to their self-esteem? Conformity is a learned behavior, and that behavior is instilled in every child in the learning and school system as we know it. The school system isn't teaching our children to be leaders. They are teaching them to be followers, obedient, compliant, ritualistic followers. We are each part of the whole, the one consciousness, but at the same time, we are an individual expression of the one consciousness. We each have our own preferences, our own way of thinking, our own way of learning, and our own rhythms that we move to and fro from within. To deny the exquisite individuality of a human is to do a great injustice to the individual and to the consciousness as a whole. Each of us have arrived here on this planet with our own gifts and abilities, strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes, and preferences that match our own internal rhythm and flow. In order for a child to thrive in their own true essence, it is imperative that they are seen and accepted for who they are, and given the right to excel and advance at their own pace, which fluctuates throughout childhood and at different seasons of their life. They need to be encouraged to acknowledge their weaknesses without shame, blame, or guilt, and receive guidance to overcome them, as well as be encouraged to acknowledge their strengths without egotistical pride or arrogance, and receive guidance to explore and expand their gifts and abilities to their fullest potential as an individual. And this evolved paradigm of teaching and learning that we are expanding into will do exactly that. Conformity learning will be a thing of the past. Learning will become personalized, customized, individualized. It will no longer be a one-size-shoe-fits-all, like it or not. Each child will receive knowledge in a way that will be best suited for their own learning skills and learning curves. Teaching and learning will become a fluid flow of motion between the teacher and the student. A seamless interaction and exchange of energy, thoughts, words, and actions. I use the term teacher loosely because it will not be just the institution of schools that will change, but the way that teaching and learning itself will be defined and implemented. The basis of the teaching and learning relationship will become more of an equal basis of exchange rather than a dictatorship. Each child will progress in knowledge as they feel comfortable to do so, therefore removing the labels of greater or less than in measurement of intelligence and success. It will remove negative reinforcement as well as negative and aggressive competitiveness. It will be an emotionally safe and supportive environment in which to learn that is conducive to self-esteem, self-confidence, and honoring individual authenticity, which will cultivate inner stability. Nothing outside of yourself can create stability within, but Once you have developed and nurtured inner stability, all areas of your life outside of you will reflect that stability in your life experiences. Children will learn the wholeness of their own being. The teacher could be in a sort of school system, or the parents, guardians could be the teacher, or a computer-animated teaching system through which the student is basically taught with physical human instruction and guidance, but in a multi-dimensional way. And once again, back to the beginning of this video, we had already seen that take place when COVID came about. The school system was interactive with the teacher, but it was all over the computer instead of in the classroom itself. Okay, back to reading, which is what I saw in the vision. I saw students learning with what would be described as a holographic system, but it appeared to be physical as well at the same time. The learning system was not just book, pencil, and paper or computer. It was interactive on multiple levels. The students that I saw appeared to be young teenagers, perhaps middle school age and beyond. Although I didn't see any elementary school children being taught through the holographic system, it felt strongly to me while I was observing it that it would become a universal system of learning for all ages, even adult learning. I want to stress here, though, that however the teacher may show up is not as important as the learning system itself. It's the learning system that is changing and advancing into a higher consciousness of learning and exchange between minds. It's the learning system that will encourage leadership and not followship. The subject of history as we know it today will be quite different in how it is taught in the new paradigm of teaching. A very small portion of human history will be taught primarily for the purpose to express the contrast of how a multitude of limitations were placed upon humans mentally, emotionally, and physically prior to the evolution we are journeying through into the now era, and how infinitely unlimited we are now realizing we actually are. The subject of science will also change radically. It will not only be an exploration of what we already know, but also a playground of experimentation into limitless possibilities, both individually and as a collective effort. Children will be given the room to expand their minds and newfound abilities without the rigid structures of conventionality. They will be given room to explore their creative potential and learn to create new worlds. Let's just say that science will get even a whole lot more interesting and wondrous in many different ways than it already is. New subjects will be taught as well in the learning system. Subjects that will prepare children for a productive, enriching, and enjoyable adulthood. They will be taught how to express and responsibly manage their emotions, how to release prejudice, and how to embrace diversity, how to work with their own personal energy field, how to have healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, and healthy lives. Children will be taught about their higher consciousness and how to connect with it, how to meditate, how to connect to nature, and how to tap into the universal consciousness and all of its knowledge and wisdom. They will learn how to manifest the life they want with their own innate power within, how to use their psychic abilities, how to continue to evolve as an adult, and how to become a responsible and loving parent that accepts and honors the individuality of their own children, if they choose to have children. Education will become well-rounded and well-received. Report cards, grades, and tests will no longer be enforced in the learning system. Contrary to popular belief, to measure intellectual intelligence at any one given moment is simply futile and irrelevant. Intelligence denotes more than just an intellectual state of mind, but also an emotional state of being. Both are forms of intelligence. Both are equally significant. Humans will come to accept and understand that intelligence can't be measured accurately and shouldn't be, as we are constantly learning, growing, and evolving. Both intellectual and emotional intelligence is multifaceted and multidimensional. Neither should be or can be boxed in, defined by standards, or labeled by imposed categorical hierarchy. Intelligence in all its forms is expansive and eternal. How can one even begin to accurately measure that? All intelligence that exists is already within you now. You are just learning how to allow it to reveal itself to you through connecting with your true soul essence, your higher consciousness. Unfortunately, this is what children will be learning at a very early age in the new earth, in the now era. Children are the greatest asset we have as a society, for they are the ones who will lead us forward. And this concludes Chapter 4. I'm sending you all lots of love, lots of light, and lots of activation energy.